Part 9. Traditional Chinese Medicine, Infertility, Crazy Social Death Patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 81. At this time, Wang Feng's mobile phone was still live on. The netizens in the live broadcast room happened to see Ni Guanghai, and they couldn't help but be speechless. Isn't this the old Mr. Ni Guanghai of Taishan Baidu in the Chinese medicine world? Why did Master Ni appear here? Master Ni is full of peach and plums all over the world. You see that the chief doctor is a disciple of Master Ni. Obviously, Master Ni is here for Mayor Wang's problem. This is to carry out a combination of traditional Chinese and Western medicine, right? Does traditional Chinese medicine treat liver cancer and pancreatic cancer? What are you kidding? Maybe Master Ni happens to be a friend of Mayor Wang and just happened to come to visit the patient. That's it, this must be a coincidence. I often pay attention to Master Ni. Since Master Ni was rejected by the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall, he has been studying Western medicine further study. Even if Master Ni comes, it is definitely recommended to have surgery as soon as possible. Netizens were first stunned to see Ni Guanghai in Wang Feng's live broadcast room, and then quickly made up for it. After all, Ni Guanghai is the Taishan Baidu in the Chinese medicine industry, and he is also a representative of the academic school, and people know him almost everywhere he goes. However, they didn't expect that Ni Guanghai came to be justified by Bayet. Teacher Ni, my dad Wang Feng thought of Ni Guanghai's identity and stopped talking. Ni Guanghai glanced at Wang Feng lightly, waved his hand, and did not speak. He knows it well. The reason why Bayet is slandered today has a lot to do with the mayor's son. Master Ni, looking at Mayor Wang's condition, what kind of treatment plan should be taken? At this time, Luo Fei followed behind Ni Guanghai and asked respectfully. Said. Luo Fei gave Lu Kai a look, and Lu Kai immediately understood, and immediately kept silent. At this time, Wang Jun looked at Ni Guanghai blankly, his mind buzzing. But strangely, he inexplicably felt at ease. The TCM doctor seems to have an innate peaceful aura, which can make him feel at ease. It's not like Western medicine makes him feel like a fish on a chopping block. Master Ni, I didn't expect to see you, Wang Jun muttered, his eyes full of respect. He once listened to Ni Guanghai's lectures on the spot, talking about heaven and earth, heaven and earth, heaven and earth, heaven and earth, and traditional culture. Hearing Wang Jun's words, Ni Guanghai sat down at the head of his hospital bed, but he commanded. Take your hand and I'll take your pulse. Good. Wang Jun suddenly felt flattered when he heard this, and immediately pulled his hand out of the quilt and stretched it out. Then I felt pinched by Ni Guanghai's old and strong hand, and my mind became more peaceful. At this time, he discovered it even more deeply. The aura of a TCM doctor itself has a healing effect, which is really incomparable to Western medicine. During Ni Guanghai's pulse, the needles in the entire ward could be heard, and everyone held their breath and concentrated. Wang Feng wanted to contradict him, but he also obediently shut up. Master Ni's aura was too strong, not to mention that Chief Dr. Luo Fei was here. He knew that he was soft-spoken. After a while, Ni Guanghai reached out with both hands, checked his pulse at the same time, and then raised his eyebrows. Sigh. Mayor Wang, when Dr. Bayet told you not to come to the hospital for examination, why didn't you listen? The voice fell. Everyone was stunned. Wang Jun smiled awkwardly, with a look of regret on his face. But I don't know what to say. Dr. Lu Kai and the director looked at each other. Wang Feng was unhappy in his heart, and couldn't help but speak. Master Ni, my father is in poor health, isn't it a natural thing to come to the hospital for a checkup? What's more, this may be cancer. If the disease is delayed, the consequences will be unimaginable. But, as he spoke, his voice unrelenting, Because he immediately realized that Master Ni's focus was not to check his condition, but to not listen to Bai Ye's words. Could it be that? Hearing Wang Feng's words, Ni Guanghai looked serious and said unceremoniously. Then do you know why Dr. White Knight didn't let your dad get a checkup? When Wang Feng heard this, he didn't expect Master Ni to ask like this, and he was a little speechless for a while. After a long pause, he spoke leisurely. Drna Bai said that there was a Chinese medicine prescription that could treat my father's illness. But we can't say 1, 2, 3, we don't know the bottom of our hearts. Thinking about coming to the hospital for a comprehensive checkup won't affect anything. So, just paranoia. Stupid. Before Wang Feng finished speaking, Ni Guanghai couldn't help but interject. He rarely gets angry with juniors, and this time he really can't bear it. It won't have an impact. Then look at your father's current appearance, is he unaffected? As soon as this remark came out, Wang Feng's face was stunned, he swallowed his saliva, and responded. So how can Master Ni be sure that it is affected by the examination, but it is an established fact that my father has liver cancer. Hearing Wang Feng's words, Ni Guanghai's face was not angry and arrogant, and he said with a straight face. There is no concept of cancer in Chinese medicine. Your father's condition at that time was in the eyes of a Chinese medicine doctor, showing liver and kidney yin deficiency, syncope and yin, the whole body qi disorder, and yang was not restrained. From the dialectical point of view alone, it is not serious, it is just the state of the disease, but the internal organs are seriously unbalanced, especially the liver function has a great impact. But at that time, it was indeed completely cured by Chinese medicine. Dr. White Knight is not exaggerating. But, speaking of which, Ni Guanghai paused slightly, pondered for a long time, and continued. Now the situation is that your father's body has been disrupted by the loss of Western medicine. When the disease enters the viscera, the disease can be quantified into cancer. The voice fell. Dr. Lu Kai and Chief Dr. Luo Fei looked at each other. The examination of Western medicine is indeed a loss-making examination, and there must be damage to the body. But to say that Mayor Wang is so weak now is completely due to the inspection, they are still a little unbelievable. After all, years of clinical experience have taught them that everything is based on data. In the case of traditional Chinese medicine, it seems that the subjective judgment of the individual is what is right and what is wrong. And they can hear it. Master Ni wants to correct Bai Ye's name. But based on Master Ni's words alone, it is really unconvincing. At this time, Wang Feng's live broadcast room netizens were also stunned when they heard Ni Guanghai's words. No, Master Ni actually stood in line for the White Knight. I admit that Chinese medicine has merit, but it feels like an afterthought when you hear it. It seems that Bai Ye has a lot of relationship with Master Ni. Do you guess it will be Bai Ye who asked Master Ni to come over to save his reputation? It's possible. TCM treatment depends on what the doctor says, it's too subjective and not objective, can't be quantified, and it's hard to be convincing. What Master Ni said may have a point, but unless he uses the methods of traditional Chinese medicine to cure Mayor Wang's illness, it will be empty words. Wang Feng looked at the barrage in the live broadcast room and breathed a sigh of relief. I thought that netizens would stand in line with Master Ni, but I didn't expect that this year's netizens would look at Chinese medicine and Western medicine from the perspective of God. That's a good thing. This means that even if White Knight's theory makes sense, the starting point is good, and it can be defeated. Then the wall fell down and everyone pushed it. Thinking of this, the corners of Wang Feng's mouth were slightly indistinctly hooked into a wicked smile. Looked at Ni Guanghai, but said respectfully. Maybe what you said makes sense, but our people's understanding of liver cancer is also simple, that is, early detection and early treatment. It's too late to say anything, and in your opinion, What treatment should my father take? Do you want to continue the pancreatic cancer exclusion test? Hear this. Ni Guanghai frowned and looked at everyone. He knew that he had just stated the facts, and they regarded them as a subjective determination. This is because Wang Jun's condition is indeed special, and the judgment of traditional Chinese medicine cannot be quantified into data. Therefore, he knew this, and he couldn't justify by yes name. Now that he is here, he must establish a treatment plan from the standpoint of the hospital. And that's an awkward question. He is a good TCM expert, but TCM is not omnipotent. He can see the appearance and look at the symptoms as a whole, but the subtle complexities really can't be taken into account. In other words, whether the cancer cells have metastasized to the pancreas is really known only by Western medicine. However, Mayor Wang is now in a special physique, and he is not suitable for traumatic examinations for the time being. If you don't do it, in case the cancer cells metastasize, the condition may be more critical, which is difficult for him to bear. And that's it. If you read a violent novel, go to Fila Novel Network. Ni Guanghai didn't expect it, but fortunately, he foresaw it, so he didn't call reporters. Master Ni, Mayor Wang's situation is not optimistic, please give me a plan. Luo Fei said at this time. Master Ni, Mayor Wang has jaundice and numbness in his limbs, these obvious symptoms that are visible to the naked eye, even if they are treated slowly with traditional Chinese medicine. Dr. Lukai also interjected, in his impression. Deficiency in Chinese medicine is when the patient feels unwell, but Western medicine cannot detect it. But now Mayor Wang's symptoms are already obvious, and if he doesn't check it, it is obvious that he will delay treatment. Ni Guanghai glanced at Wang Jun on the hospital bed, sighed in his heart, and spoke. Wait a minute. The human body is very intelligent, it regulates itself to maintain balance. Mild jaundice and numbness in his limbs may have been caused by his lack of food and liver disease. This was very pertinent, and everyone nodded. However, that's when it happened. 3 more people walked in. As soon as the 3 of them entered, the atmosphere in the ward suddenly changed. Ni Guanghai was stunned first, followed by Director Luo Fei and Dr. Lukai. Wang Jun was lying on the hospital bed and saw the 3 people, especially an old comrade who was also an old acquaintance, and he was also stunned. One of these 3 is the director of the health bureau, Li Ju, and he is also a comrade. And the old man behind Li Ju looked respectful, but Luo Fei was very surprised, because the old man was the director of the hospital. Of course. Whether it is Li Ju or the dean, they are all like a little brother in front of an old man led by them. This old man is Qi Xia. The 90-year-old Qi Xia himself has a strong aura, he walks vigorously, and he glanced around as soon as he came in. Immediately locked his eyes on Wang Jun's body. Zero begging for flowers. Then he stepped forward and said lightly. Xia Jun, how are you feeling now? Can I get out of bed? In the ward. Among the original few people, Ni Guanghai naturally knew that Qi Xia was the patriarch of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall, and his face was respectful. After hearing old Qi's words, he was also stunned, curious why old man Qi appeared here. Could it be? Ni Guanghai immediately thought of Bai Ye's relationship. After all, Bai Ye is also a member of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall now, but it is unknown whether he will pass the assessment. Director Luo Fei and Dr. Lukai were silent at the moment. In front of the head boss and the head of the health department, they have no right to speak at all. And Wang Jun looked at Qi Lao blankly at the moment, the expression on his face became more complicated, he also knew Qi Lao. When he visited Li Dakang, secretary of the Municipal Party Committee in the Imperial Capital, he got acquainted with Qi Lao of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall. But at that time, it was just a nodding acquaintance, and I really didn't expect to meet Qi Lao on this occasion. It's such an honor. He shuddered and immediately responded. Qi Lao, I'm okay, cough cough, I can still go to the ground. Hear this. Qi Xia nodded and said lightly. Your illness is not serious, and it doesn't seem to me to be enough to have surgery. That means there are better treatment options. Of course, there is no need to do any other tests. Would you like to try it? As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned. Ni Guanghai was even more convinced of his own thoughts. Director Luo Fei and Dr. Lu Kai glanced at each other and did not speak. The dean and Lai Ju stood behind Qi Xia, not angry and arrogant, just like two great gods. Wang Feng on the side was inexplicably a little apprehensive. Ahem, of course. Hearing Qi Lao's words, Wang Jun was stunned at first, and then immediately accosted. That's good. When Qi Xia heard this, a fine light flashed in his eyes and he glanced at the dean. Xiao He, then arrange for Comrade Mayer to be discharged from the hospital. Any medical accident during this period will be borne by me, an old man from the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall. Ah, yes, yes, Dean, he nodded respectfully. Elder Qi, where am I going to arrange to go? Wang Jun couldn't help but ask. Hear the questioning. Qi Xia stood up, didn't look at him, but looked at Ni Guanghai and said with a smile. Everything started with the little guy in Baiye. Of course he arranged to go to the Bai family Chinese medicine hall. Xiao Ni, do you want to go and see it together? The voice fell. Ni Guanghai smiled, why not? There is no need to say anything. As soon as I heard Qi Lao's words, I knew that I was acting for Baiye. Since Baiye can see Mayor Wang's illness, there must be a way to treat it, which is common knowledge in traditional Chinese medicine. And the quickest way to correct Baiye's name is to let Baiye cure Mayor Wang. Doesn't it be said on the internet that Baiye delays diagnosis and treatment, and questions Baiye's medical skills, so let netizens open their eyes and see Baiye's level of traditional Chinese medicine. Beishi Traditional Chinese Medicine Pavilion, Wang Jun was stunned and muttered, and couldn't help but glance at his attending doctor, Lu Kai. Then, Lu Kai felt Mayor Wang's gaze, glanced at the dean, and stopped talking. Dean, he looked at Luo Fei and Lu Kai, and said. Qi Lao used to be an academician of our Longguo Academy of Engineering, a member of the Academy of Medical Sciences, the secretary of the Party Committee of the Imperial Capital Medical College, the president of the Chinese Medical Association, and the leader of the high-level expert group of the Health Commission. Now, Elder Qi is the patriarch of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall, and his words are true. Let's put it this way, even if the Baiye doctor of the Bai family traditional Chinese medicine pavilion is not capable of treating Comrade Mayer, Qi Lao can take care of it. In the medical world, Qi Lao is called Qi Jinren at home and abroad, and early cancer is just pediatrics for Qi Lao. As soon as these words came out, Luo Fei and Lu Kai immediately gasped. They had more or less heard of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall and knew the power of this mysterious organization. Today, I never expected to meet the patriarch of this mysterious organization. Academician of the Longguo Academy of Engineering, member of the Faculty of Medical Sciences, secretary of the Party Committee of the Imperial Capital Medical College, president of the Chinese Medical Association, and high-level expert of the National Health Commission. Each of these honors is a height that is difficult for them to achieve in their lifetime. Since Dean he said so, they naturally had no objection. It's just that there is a trace of doubt in my heart, why Elder Qi would arrange for Comrade Mayer to go to the Bai Traditional Chinese Medicine Hall. Then, Wang Feng was stunned, suddenly stepped forward, and couldn't help but speak. But my dad is not well ill now, doesn't he need to be diagnosed first? As soon as he finished, immediately found that no one replied. Even his father, Wang Jun, was silent. After a while, the director of the health bureau, Lai Ju, came to him and broke the embarrassment. Xiao Feng, you're still live broadcasting, right? It's a good thing to participate in the show to attract traffic and do popular science in andrology. But we should also pay attention to the lower scale, and do not promote arguments that are contrary to our traditional culture. Uncle Lai, when Wang Feng heard this, his back suddenly chilled, and he hurriedly opened his mouth to explain something. However, he was rejected by Lai Ju. Okay, don't say anything else, you have to arrange your father in the factory first. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 82. When Wang Feng heard Lai Ju say this, he suddenly felt as uncomfortable as a punch in his stomach. But keep a smile on your face. He couldn't figure it out. Why did Elder Qi of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall attach so much importance to letting Bai Ye heal his father? Well, I got it. Father's health matters. His voice fell. The netizens in the live broadcast room were instantly boiling. What's the situation? Old Qi is the legendary old man Qi. Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall, mysterious organization, isn't this a traditional Chinese medicine organization that only exists in novels? The key is that Qi Lao said to let Bai Ye treat Mayor Wang's illness. Is this a reversal? Could it be that we have been misunderstanding the White Knight? Also, you carefully savor what the director of the health department said. What kind of background energy is this White Knight? It seems that there is a good show to watch. This is a contest between Chinese medicine and Western medicine. The old man Qi is off the field to be the referee, and the Wang anchor is thundered. Wang Feng watched his father being carried away, and a trace of unwillingness flashed in his eyes. Regardless of whether the White Knight can cure his father, all the good is biased towards the White Knight, so let his heart cut like a knife. The woman he loves has been arched by Bai Ye, and this new hatred and old hatred can be shamed at a glance, but he didn't expect that the big guy of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall would stand up and support Bai Ye. It's infuriating. There is also Uncle Lai, the director of the Health Bureau, who is warning his words and deeds openly and secretly. Pay attention to the scale. Isn't the scale of infertility seen in the White Knight greater? I'm just teaching teenagers to recognize their desires. The more Wang Feng thought about it, the more unwilling he became, but he could only helplessly follow Qi Lao and Master Ni towards the direction of the Bai clan's Chinese medicine hall. It is worth mentioning. Before leaving, Dr. Lu Kai took a tube of blood from Wang Jun for examination. Bai's Traditional Chinese Medicine Museum. 133 was idle for most of the day's White Knight, and because of boredom, he was showing the 8 Vajragong to netizens in the live broadcast room. He is tall and handsome, and in order to fully show the essentials of the action, he takes off his shirt. The full and developed muscles are fully displayed, and every move and style shows masculinity. Directly let the netizens in the live broadcast room get high. The anchor is so welfare. Don't see a doctor at all, take everyone to practice health exercises every day and still attract fans. It turns out that I don't like to watch the anchor see a doctor, but I am hungry for the anchor's body, haha. The anchor is so nice, crazy screenshots. Add one screenshot. Li Jiajia looked at the netizens Li Hai, and her heart was inexplicably filled with jealousy. My mouth couldn't help but mumble. Boss, it's estimated that our small clinic won't come to the patient today. You don't think you've been selling meat all the time, are you? Ahem, hearing Li Jiajia say this, Bai Ye couldn't help but roll her eyes. What are you talking about? This is a traditional Chinese medicine health practice, which is very serious. Is a serious yarn, and the saliva of netizens is about to overflow through the screen. Li Jiajia complained in her heart, but she didn't wonder. Didn't some netizens say that they wanted to come to see a doctor? It's been almost a day, and there's no one in it. Looks like we can close early today. That's how to say it. But Li Jiajia also knows that now Bai Ye is deeply trapped in the whirlpool of public opinion, and the public is questioning the level of traditional Chinese medicine. As a public figure, the slightest stain will be infinitely magnified. Presumably, before the muddy waters are clarified, those wise netizens will not come to see the doctor. Hearing Li Jiajia's words, Bai Ye sighed in his heart. Infertility was a special disease, and there were fewer people who came to see the doctor. Now that the level of Chinese medicine has risen sharply, and almost any disease has come up with a Chinese medicine plan, maybe it is time to change the signboard. However, on second thought, it is not appropriate. I've just crossed over, and I'm just making a name for myself. Even if you want to expand your business, you should accumulate more diagnosis and treatment cases, so that word of mouth can naturally ferment. Bai Ye thought of the mayor of the Magic City, and he would cure the mayor's early cancer. It's a pity that Mayor Wang has arranged to be hospitalized now. I don't know if what Qi Lao said can be done. Boss, what do you want? Li Jiajia looked at the handsome Bai Ye and couldn't help asking. Why don't we go back early today? I want to hear you sing. Huh? Bai Ye threw a question mark with his eyes. Listen to you sing Chrysanthemum Terrace and the avenue to heaven is wide and wide. Li Jiajia said with a flushed face and a clamp between her legs. Ahem. Bai Ye smiled awkwardly and pointed to the barrage. In the live broadcast, pay attention to the words. I'm joking. Outside the store, an ambulance alarm suddenly came to mind. Not for a while. A vigorous figure walked in. As soon as the old man came in, Li Jiajia was suddenly like a kitten seeing a tiger, and her hair stood on end. Bai Ye also paused. The other party's aura was very sufficient, just like the ancient emperor, with a heroic spirit between his eyebrows, and his whole body was very fan. However, Bai Ye guessed a little and expected the identity of the other party. Boss Chi's presence here really makes the humble house shine. I can't talk about it, I just fulfill my promise and come over to bother. Chi Xia also looked straight at Bai Ye, and there was scrutiny and appreciation in his eyes. The tone is very polite. Chi Xia's words and actions all have the style of the previous generation, and they look like old pedants in the movie. After he entered the store, he glanced at it lightly and greeted the staff outside. Not for a while. Mayor Wang was helped in by two medical staff. He was accompanied by Ni Guanghai, Dean He, Director of the Health Bureau Li Ju, and Mayor Wang's son Wang Feng. These few people filled the entire Chinese medicine hall at once. When Li Jiajia saw this formation, she was immediately stunned, and after swallowing her saliva, she reacted leisurely. She naturally knows Master Ni, who is her life mentor and spiritual idol. There is also the director of the health department, who is also familiar. Only Qi Lao, the impression was vague, but looking at Bai Ye's eyes, he immediately guessed Qi Lao's identity, and he was immediately in awe. She felt like a little Karami, and she didn't dare to say anything. At the same time, he pinched the sweat of the white knight. Because Mayor Wang's condition was more serious than yesterday, and Wang Feng's eyes didn't look good. It's clearly a confrontation. Whether or not all the contradictions can be resolved depends on the operation of the white knight. Hearing Qi Lao's direct words, Bai Ye simply greeted him, and then looked at Mayor Wang. At this time, Wang Jun was moaning, rubbing his hands in the Hattori position. It seemed that his stomach was swollen, his limbs were numb, his face was sallow, and the situation was not good. Qi Xia got straight to the point. Bai Ye, I will give you a day to improve Comrade Mayor's condition. If you can improve it, we will talk about the follow-up treatment assessment. Bai Ye didn't reply, but walked around Wang Jun and then put his hand on his neck. It doesn't have to be buckled on the wrist, as long as there are blood vessels, it is theoretically okay. It depends on the individual's effort. This scene happened to be seen by Ni Guanghai, and he couldn't help but shine brightly, and nodded deeply. It is worthy of being a young genius Chinese medicine. At this time, netizens in the live broadcast room saw the scene and blew up again. What's going on? That's Master Ni. Taishan Baidu in the world of traditional Chinese medicine. And the old man who was called Qi Lao just now, this one is even more awesome. Wait, I also saw President He of the Magic City Grade 3 Hospital and the Director of the Demon City Health Bureau. Have you paid attention to what Qi Lao said? Assessment. Does anyone know what to explain? It's the newcomer assessment of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall. Isn't the anchor recruited into the Huaxia Imperial Medical Group, and the group needs to be assessed? It, burst, the anchor has such a big card. Read the violent novel, go to the Fila Novel Network. I see, the anchor's incident directly let the official end. Yes, this is not only an assessment for anchors, but also involves the competition between Chinese and Western medicine in the diagnosis and treatment of cancer. Anyway, Mayor Wang's illness looks much more complicated and serious. I also watched Wang Feng's live broadcast, and I have been diagnosed with liver cancer. This is not the case with early-stage liver cancer. It is estimated that there are not only liver cancer, but also other complex causes. Old man Qi only gave the anchor 1 day. It's a bit rushed. I feel that Mayor Wang's illness is in the bone marrow, and I feel a little powerless, so I have to operate quickly. Indeed, Comrade Mayor is sick, which is different from yesterday's coughing state, and the changes in people under the illness are too cruel. In this way, Master Ni, Qi Lao, Dean He, and Lai Ju are all for the anchor. Of course, the patient is the mayor, and he can't afford to go to court. It's more about the reputation of Chinese medicine and Western medicine. A courtyard in the imperial capital. Huang Xiaowai swiped his mobile phone, and just happened to swipe the live broadcast of the White Knight again. Happened to see the scene of Qi Lao coming in, and immediately became interested. Grandpa, come and see, there's a good show. When Huang Yaoshi heard this, he immediately walked over, saw Bai Ye's live broadcast room, and then saw Wang Jun's state. Shen said, "The mayor's illness has taken a turn for the worse, and it seems that it is not optimistic." Well, liver cancer has been diagnosed. Huang Xiaowai added, the eyeballs are cloudy, and the whole body is jaundice, which needs to be treated immediately. Huang Yaoshi nodded and analyzed. Yes, you have to be very cautious when taking Chinese medicine at this time. But with Elder Qi here, he won't let this kid Bai Ye mess around. Huang Xiaowai nodded, but she was a little worried about Bai Ye, and easily forwarded Bai Ye's live broadcast room to the Huaxia Imperial Doctor Group. Let more people know about the assessment situation on the White Knight side. Sun Dadao of the typhoid school, the disease is not terminal, it is also in the intestines. Acupuncture is feasible, but the acupuncture needs to be very cautious. Zhu Yuanyu of the Xian school, I haven't seen you for 2 days, and this comrade mayor is so serious, it seems that it is difficult to dialectically address the symptoms. Dr. Shui of the Wen supplement school, in this case, Qi Lao will give Bai Ye a day. It seems that Qi Lao is sure to turn the tide at a critical moment. Jin Yuangzi of the Huatong school, it can be expected that the pressure of Bai Ye is quite large, and my assessment at that time was not so difficult. Liang Yukai, a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, oops, in this case, it's best to do B ultrasound, strengthen MRI, check the pancreatic problem, it's really a sweat for Bai Ye. 0. The members of the Huaxia Imperial Doctor Group looked at Wang Jun, who was almost dying, and they were a little undecided. After all, people's diseases are strange, and Chinese medicine is like a person standing outside the door, it is not easy to see the doorway inside through the appearance. If the inference is wrong, it is fine if it is a minor illness, but if it is a major illness, it is easy to cause a big fallacy. Champions Program Group. The production team and the director team are thinking about how to deal with the PR problem of White Knights. Happened to see the people in the live broadcast room of the White Knight, and their eyes suddenly widened. Good guy, the small Chinese medicine hall is so lively. This is a gathering of bigwigs from the political and traditional Chinese medicine circles. This white knight is really not simple. It seems that public opinion will be self-defeating. Yes, we don't have to bother to explain anything. Judging from Master Ni's help, we know that he is on Baiye's side. That's what I said, but in order for Baiye to completely clear his name, he has to heal Comrade Mayer. Yes, it's quite a challenge, and it's still in plain sight. At this time, the staff reported, "Boss, the data in the White Knight live broadcast room has rebounded, and the number of fans has exceeded 5 million. It's still rising." The producer and director looked at each other when they heard this, staring at the live broadcast room of the White Knight. After a while, they speculated. "Oh, isn't this Wang Feng? He also ran to the White Knight." It seems that some of Wang Feng's fans have been transformed into fans of Baiye. No, these two fans should be in different camps. What's going on? That's Qi Lao's celebrity effect. Old man Qi Xia, that's the living Qi Jinren. And Master Ni. It's all Taishan Baidu in the Chinese medicine world. As soon as these two people come, those medical students must flock here. It makes sense, this White Knight is still a wonderful person, stirring up the storm. White Knight can be regarded as a sucking physique, but it is not certain whether we can survive this difficulty. At the same time, Magic City Grade 3 Hospital. Lu Kai had just gotten Wang Jun's blood test report. Serum bilirubin is too high, and the situation is not optimistic. It is likely that the cancer cells have metastasized, or the liver cancer continues to spread and worsen. I hope there will be no problems with the pancreas, and the pancreatic examination is not convenient, so it is necessary to check it as soon as possible," said. He took advantage of his free time to open the live broadcast room of the White Knight. Happened to see Baiye put his finger on Wang Jun's neck, and immediately frowned. "What is this?" He, what can you see even if you take the pulse? Can you see an elevated serum bilirubin?" At this time, Director Luo Fei was also watching the live broadcast room of Baiye, and he was also sweating in his heart. Although Qi Lao said that he would be responsible for the problem, he was still 100 uneasy after seeing too many medical accidents. After all, the patient is the mayor of the Magic City. The mayor could have had a routine operation at the hospital, but was taken to a small Chinese medicine hall. 1.5. In case of spread pools, then public opinion will inevitably affect the hospital and he, the director. Of course. It's not that he doesn't trust Qi Lao, but he doesn't feel at ease with the young Baiye. In his view, being too young represents a lack of clinical experience. When a patient becomes seriously ill, the symptoms are ever-changing. Patients also suffer a lot of pain, and although Western medicine treats the symptoms but not the root cause, it can alleviate the pain of patients. At this time, the efficacy of traditional Chinese medicine is indeed generally slow, and patients are unwell, and they will have tolerance and metabolic problems with many traditional Chinese medicines. It's a hassle. To put it bluntly, it is a special period when Chinese medicine is difficult to treat dialectically. The same treatment of different diseases is a treatment plan of traditional Chinese medicine. Luo Fei has also studied traditional Chinese medicine, and he can also come up with a traditional Chinese medicine plan for Wang Jun's problems. Therefore, it is clear that there are drawbacks of TCM methods. For this reason, when he saw the White Knight, his brows kept abruptly protruding. Bai's Traditional Chinese Medicine Museum. Baiye closed his eyes slightly, and took the pulse at Wang Jun's neck. It was immediately known about his condition. Sure enough, as he expected, it did deteriorate. The main problem is the liver. In Western medicine, there are more than 500 kinds of liver functions. Among them, bilirubin metabolism disorder is certain, otherwise there will be no jaundice. However, in the eyes of Baiye, these are all representations, and they cannot be treated alone. At the intersection of Western medicine and Chinese medicine, treating patients allows them to heal themselves faster. At present, Wang Jun's problem is just at this critical point, and self-healing can be achieved through some traditional Chinese medicine programs. Later, we will have to go through the surgical plan. Come to think of this. Bai Ye raised his eyes to look at Qi Xia and said with a faint smile. Old Qi, just give me 2 hours. I can improve his condition with the ancestral acupuncture method. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 83. 2 hours to improve. Ni Guanghai was stunned at first when he heard Bai Ye say this. Just now, he was still speculating about how Bai Ye could understand the patient's condition through the pulse of his neck. After all, the meridians and blood flow parts are different, the pulse is different, and the conclusions drawn will be different, and dialectical transformation is required. While he was still meditating, White Knight had a plan so quickly. Dr. Bai, are you sure that it will improve in 2 hours? Ni Guanghai couldn't help but ask. Bai Ye looked at the strange old man and nodded. If it's fast, it won't take 2 hours. Because my acupuncture method is different from what everyone knows. The God-level acupuncture method of the system is not a joke. The voice fell. Ni Guanghai looked at Bai Ye's confident expression, but he was stunned again. He looked at Qi Lao. Qi Xia was also considering and analyzing Bai Ye's plan at the moment. They are all old Chinese medicine practitioners, so they naturally know the magic of acupuncture. But in the same way, after having enough clinical experience, I also know that there are many taboos in acupuncture. In simple terms, those who are seriously ill, too nervous and anxious, and those who have physical symptoms are not suitable for acupuncture. Prone to dizziness. 30. It is even a disorder of qi and organs, and an imbalance of internal organs. If it's more serious, it will kill someone. Of course. If you are a wise doctor, you can avoid these situations. However, they couldn't be sure that Bai Ye was that kind of clever doctor, and Bai Ye's Chinese medicine hall had just opened. Actually, in Qi Xia's opinion, the idea of acupuncture is good, but the safest solution should be qi guidance, using fingers instead of acupuncture, supplemented by traditional Chinese medicine massage. It's just that the effect is very slow, so he gives a day to Bai Ye. Unexpectedly, Bai Ye directly took the risk of using acupuncture. Then, Wang Feng on the side saw the attitude of Ni Shi and Qi Xia, and his face sank. Stepping forward. Dr. Bai, are you 100% sure? If you are not 100% sure, please don't delay my father's treatment. As soon as this remark came out, it's obviously a bar lift. Dean He and the director of the health bureau also looked at each other, standing in Wang Feng's position, they naturally fully understood. After all, taking his father as an experimental assessment, even if he has Qi Lao's back, it is uncomfortable. What's more, the patient is also the mayor of the Magic City. Has its own public opinion and topicality, and if they are not careful, even they will be involved. Originally, when I was on the road, many reporters flocked to me. If it weren't for the use of official martial law, the situation would have been even more problematic. Of course. They didn't say much, but looked at Qi Lao. Good boy, it's not a small tone. Qi Lao was smiling and full of appreciation. The younger generation of Chinese medicine should have this kind of courage, and it is a big deal that he can use Qigong guidance to assist. Anyway, with him in the background, there won't be a big problem. Elder Qi, this is strength, you will know it soon. Bai Ye was not modest and beckoned. Put the patient on the bed, take off the shirt, and lie on the stomach. After the voice fell, everyone looked at each other, didn't make any movement, paused for a moment, and all looked at Chi Xia. Chi Xia touched his beard and said with a faint smile. Still stunned about what to do what Dr. Bai instructed. Hearing Chi Xia's order, the medical staff began to move. Wang Feng witnessed the whole process, and at the same time broadcast live, his eyes swept over the white knight, extremely resentful. Dr. Bai, the patient under your needle is the mayor of the demon city. If you make a 3 long and 2 short, you will know the consequences. Bai Ye glanced at him and said unceremoniously, read the violent novel, go to the Fila Novel Network. Wang Gongzi, what you said is really a good interpretation of what it means to repay virtue with grievances. That's it, Li Jiajia interjected. At that time, we repeatedly asked you not to go for an examination, but we didn't listen. Jiajia, how can there be a reason for early treatment if you don't check for cancer in time? Wang Feng's tone intensified, restraining his anger. You can't just reverse right and wrong just because you like this kid. Humph, I don't know the medical theory, it's hopeless. Li Jiajia curled her mouth and turned her face away. In front of everyone, especially in front of Master Ni, she didn't want to lose her temper and turn her face. Seeing this, Wang Feng's face suddenly turned pale, his fists clenched, and he stopped talking. Then, the netizens in his live broadcast room are not calm. After the operation of Bai Ye, the god-level acupuncture really improved Mayor Wang's body, and it was only an hour. Shocked everyone. Public opinion on the internet has completely reversed. Mayor Wang felt that he could work normally. Next, Bai Ye prescribed a unique prescription to Mayor Wang. Looking at the prescription list, Chi Xia and Ni Guanghai were shocked. Huang Yaoshi muttered to himself, if he were him, he would not be worthy of such a wonderful recipe. According to the insect prescription of the White Knight, Black Bethune finally prepared the potion, and after giving it to the patient, it was all improved. It just so happened that Qin Lao came to check on his condition, and he wanted to point out the problem with his original prescription to Hoxine, but he found that the condition of all the patients had improved. Qin Lao was shocked, thinking that Black Bethune had found a solution. But Black Bethune said that this was the insect recipe given by Bai Ye. Qin Lao didn't believe it, and after verifying it, he was shocked. A few days later, Mayor Wang recovered, a medical miracle. Traditional Chinese medicine prescriptions for the treatment of liver cancer have become the world's medical prescription heritage, and the reputation of Bai Ye is well known at home and abroad. Zhang Meng came to see Infertility, and Bai Ye pointed out that her 540 plastic surgery was caused by excessive plastic surgery, too many antibiotics, etc., and also pointed out that there were too many plastic surgery below, the secretion was out of balance, and she died. There are also people who come to see Infertility, and it is exposed that there are double cherry blossom roads, which are too curious, explosive, and dead. Bai Ye became a member of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall and was invited to participate in the International Chinese Medicine Exchange Conference. At the meeting, representatives of traditional Chinese medicine from various countries became fans of White Knight. There was an envoy from the Sakura country, who didn't believe in Bai Ye's medical skills, and just let Bai Ye see the infertility of a black boss couple. After checking it, I found that the membrane of the cherry blossom road of the black boss's wife was still intact. The black boss is dead. It turns out that the length of the black boss is not enough. In the international community, Bai has detected a variety of strange cases of infertility, and celebrities from all walks of life have died. But the superb medical skills are convincing. Join the Global Incurable Disease Exchange Summit. The world-class medical problem is the confrontation between Chinese medicine and Western medicine. At this time, Bai Ye penetrated the essence of Chinese medicine, which is a kind of cosmic dark energy, dark matter, which is the knowledge of a higher dimensional system. It has completely solved the mystery of meridians and acupuncture points, and solved world-class medical problems in this way. Tu Yu admired Bai Ye and visited. Through the combination of traditional Chinese medicine, various prescriptions and medicines were invented, which benefited mankind. Become a celebrity who has influenced the world.